Hello and very warm welcome to this edition of the Mutual Fund Eye. My name is Vandita Shivle and I'm here to take up your queries. Well, today the query is coming from Vishwanath. He's from Bengaluru. His question is, what does it mean when the reports are saying that the world has hit a recession? And why is IMF saying that emerging markets needs $2.5 trillion emergency funds to sustain? Well, this is not just your question. This question has been asked by a lot of other people as well, so I'll take it as a common query. Well, absolutely. In order to get through pandemic, yes, the pandemic that the world is facing right now, it has shook the entire world, and it's a coronavirus. And IMF did look at the growth prospects. They did reassess the growth prospects of all the economies for the financial year 2021, and they came up with this report where they really think that the emerging markets, especially the countries which are developing and are not in those developed states, they're still in the earlier stages of development, they would need $2.5 trillion in order to sustain and get through this pandemic. Now we need to understand, why are emerging markets under pressure? First, the commerce is gone. There are massive capital outflows. The trading thing is not working well because of the reduced connection with the other countries, and the transport is getting affected, the construction, the leisure industry, the recreation industry, everything is getting impacted, which also shows that the global demand has gone down. The exports have drastically gone down. So massive capital outflows, exports going down, the commerce, the lost commerce, everything is taking us toward one thing, that emerging markets definitely need more reserves to sustain the layoffs and the bankruptcies. Now, what IMF believes is that the internal reserves of these countries and the borrowings from local markets, which generally they do in order to get their economy, in a better position, that's not just enough to sustain, right? So they believe that they definitely need help from IMF. They would need some funding from IMF, and also they also said that bilateral creditors would play an important role here. Bilateral creditors, as in one government helping another government, in simple terms. So that's what IMF believes. And I think it was a very good step that IMF has come up with, because we know there is a problem. We cannot really say and close our eyes, shut our eyes and say, no, there's no problem, there's no problem. There is a problem, and this problem is a worldwide problem. It's not a country's problem. So we need to fight with this together. And in order to do that, only IMF reassessed the growth prospects, and they checked on various data points, and they understood that there would be certain countries which would need more help and more aid from IMF, and that's why they're urging those countries to come and approach, and they're creating those kind of funds which could help in managing this disaster. And when they say world has hit the recession, absolutely, the condition of our economy right now is as bad as what it was in 2009. The only thing is, the reason of this recession and this crisis is different. See, I'm not trying to demotivate anyone here, because I believe that when there's an economy, when you are in markets, risk, you're always surrounded by different uncertainties and different kind of risk scenarios. It's like how you deal with the problem is more important. So here, what our economy is going through right now, right? Even IMF has acknowledged it now. In fact, a lot of people are doing that. It's not just the report that has come from IMF. Let me tell you that a lot of rating agencies also did a study on India. And this IMF has not said only for India, it's for emerging markets. So there are a lot of countries which are part of emerging markets. It's not just India. But let me tell you, a lot of people have done, a lot of rating agencies have reduced their ratings on the India's GDP growth. In fact, I know they're calling it as economic tsunami. I was just reading a lot of articles, and they're saying that the financial year, this financial year also, it won't be, it won't be good at all. The GDP numbers will go down drastically, and they've cited a lot of reasons for that. Of course, as I told you, the manufacturing, the construction, the transport, and all the industries, most of these sectors will face tremendous pressure. And in order to recover from such a situation, most of our economists are saying that we need a couple of things here. Firstly, banks to give credit to people. There should be much more credit available with banks. The government expenditure would play an important role here. So these are the important factors. And what I feel is that India is working towards it. If you look at several measures that Indian government has taken, maybe a lot of people would say a lot of things which are not in favor of the government right now. But I still feel that, for example, our finance minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she has come up with the stimulus, a relief package of $23 billion. Plus, I know a lot of people are counter questioning that as well, that it's just 0.7% of the GDP and it's much lower than other countries. But that's not the thing here. We need to assess our performance. We need to see what's the growing rate of this disease first over here, and we are trying to work on those measures. Let's not just demean anyone and just not say it's not going on well, because still we are working on it. For example, the RBI governor, Mr. Das, he's working on a lot of other things. They have already done the rate cuts. Why they are doing that? They want to boost the consumption. They want credit to be available to the stressed businesses, to the people, to the businesses which are not able to sustain right now. So they are taking various measures. Yes, if we look, if you look at financial year 18, just try and look at some graphs. You'll see that the GDP numbers in the fourth quarter of financial year 18, from then till now, the GDP numbers are down. And of course, we are saying that if steps are not taken, GDP would go down, because GDP indicates the economic condition of any country. So that's a very, very important number for any country. But that doesn't mean that we will not recover. In fact, IMF itself has said that we can recover and we will recover. It's just that we need a solution right now. We need a containment for this pandemic. We need a solution for this vaccine, because everything is getting impacted because of coronavirus. So what is the solution? These are the effects of the pandemic. But the thing is that we need a vaccine. We need a cure for this disease, which is not yet approved right now. All the countries, they're working together. In fact, there were reports that Mr. Trump has asked India to help them with the malaria drugs, because there's certain reports claiming that countries which are mostly affected with the malaria, which are mostly affected by that, they have that kind of drug. So that particular drug, hydroxychloroquine, is useful in treating this pandemic. So they are coming up with various measures, and we need to give them some time. I know this lockdown period, it's because of the lockdown period that most of the businesses are shut, nothing is working, the leisure industry, that has gone down, the entertainment sector, everything, but we need to fight with this together. It's not just that staying and thinking that things will not work will give you a right solution. I don't think. Yes, investments have, obviously, people who would have invested are worried right now what will happen, but we did get over the recession period as well. And I'm still very confident that we can fight with this pandemic if we do it in the right manner. Now, the first step is IMF coming up with such reports where they understand the need of an emerging market, that they would need that much amount to sustain and to get through this pandemic. And I don't know why those reports were not brought out when they also said, IMF also said, how can they meet those challenges? I have those points with me. So what basically they are doing, IMF would be doing next is, in order to meet these challenges, is they are working on the financial capacity. So what IMF said was, the IMF chief, she said that there would be double emergency financial capacity, and what that means is they would make the financial capacity, the funding would be more, and the processes in order to transfer this between the countries, everything would be much simpler, so that sooner the things could be implemented. Secondly, they are also planning to expand the use of precautionary credit lines, and this is because they feel that there would be short-term liquidity issues, and they have started working on that. What that means is they are looking at various lending instruments which are available with them and how they can use it for providing relief to the countries. They want countries to approach these funds and they can get access to the funds as soon as possible. Moving on, they have also come up with, they're also working on a lot of debt relief measures. They have said that debt relief measures will be available to the poorest countries. In fact, they have increased the capacity of catastrophic containment and relief fund. UK, Taiwan and China are already, not Taiwan, UK, Japan and China are already part of this. So let's see. In fact, they're also planning to secure the borrowing capacity. So what's important here is, yes, they have understood the need. The size of need they are still assessing, but they have still come up with a particular number. So we know there's a problem and we are working towards that solution. That's all I would say. They are beefing up the capacity of the health system as well, because right now that is really very, very important. We know that most of the countries need those kind of PPE equipments, and why they need it, they need those masks in order, because these people, they have very close contact with the person who is affected by coronavirus. So the health system also needs more capacity, more equipments, more masks, better things to be equipped with, so that they can fight with it together. And I would say that they've also come up with a number that $117 billion would be required for hospitals. And they have included everything and they've come up with a particular number. It's not an exact number, but an approximate number. But what I really feel is that's a very, very good report, because it shows that we have a problem and what are the solutions that they're coming up with. So that's about it. Let's not worry on other kind of things, because investment, yes, I would say the question was not an investment, but still I would say if you have investments right now in a particular fund or anything, I would say stay invested. Do not get into a panic mode that I should redeem my investments. No, that's not a right thing, because when you say mid cap and small cap companies, you've invested a year back and you're not sure, and the value is going down, the NAV is falling, it's okay, because this is a time of crisis and it will fall. It's very obvious. Markets are extremely volatile, but that doesn't mean that you'll take out your money and because that'll give you nothing. At least it's better to be patient and stay invested, because we will get through this crisis. And what I believe is that stay positive, because positivity can bring a lot of good changes in your life. So just have a good smile on your face. We can fight this together. I know it's little depressing, it's stressing. Of course, there are people who really need us right now, but it's okay. Having said that, we also know that there is a far more bigger source of energy with us, and we all can deal with this together, right? On that note, thank you very much for listening to me and watching me. Do not forget to subscribe my channel and write to me. Thank you very much. Bye bye.